The streets of Niger are burning with anger. Thousands are rising, not for politics, not for power, but for sovereignty. This message is clear. Hands off Niger. The EU is being told and these people are not holding back.
Dear brothers and sisters from Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, dear friends of regained freedom, dignity, and sovereignty, today we are here because our sovereignty is bothersome. We are here because our freedom is disturbing. We just want to remind the 524 misguided parliamentarians that they allowed a resolution to be passed instead of actually solving the problems, which are their own. Today, Niger is no longer the Niger of the past, where from the Elysee, emails were sent to dictate what should be done. We have regained our sovereignty, and distant institutions should stay away and deal with their own internal problems. We believe today that the Nigerian diaspora here, mobilized in Belgium, in France, and in various places, who have a somewhat clearer perspective, must help us to sustain this struggle in which the three AES countries find themselves. If we find ourselves coming to a halt, we must come together so that people can help us. The people who are helping us, we must also help them. There are people who cannot help us, but if you have people who are helping you, you can help us to help ourselves. We are helping you. It is because we need ourselves, 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 we need ourselves. It is to make our countries livable. It is to make our countries livable like the country we find ourselves in today, like the country we find ourselves in today. So to each of you, may this struggle continue, may this struggle continue. Now I will speak again in Armenian. Those who settle on their mother's co-wife's mat to insult their own mother. I'm talking about the Burkinabe diaspora, the Nigerian diaspora.
And who is this Mohamed Bazoum? Well, Mohamed Bazoum is a French puppet who was ousted by the current government of Niger, the revolutionary government of Niger. Well, this is what the leaders of Niger had to say.
The era of unchallenged domination is coming to an end. It is precisely at the moment when the peoples of the Sahel are asserting their sovereignty that the European Parliament, in a resolution filled with condescension, allows itself to demand the release of former President Mohamed Bazoum and to prescribe a political path for Niger. We firmly reject this resolution. It constitutes an unacceptable interference in the affairs of a sovereign state and reflects the persistence of paternalistic reflexes that our peoples have definitively moved beyond. People of the Confederation of Sahel States, remember that this resolution is not a smokescreen. In reality, the fate of the former president is of little concern to the European Parliament. Behind this maneuver lies the hand of France, which is seeking to regain a foothold in the Sahel at any cost. Their objective is neither justice nor democracy, but the continued exploitation of our natural resources. The peoples of the Sahel were not surprised by the praise from certain European parliamentarians, especially French deputies, directed at former President Bazoum. But which former president are we talking about? It is President Mohamed Bazoum, who told the people of Niger that France was buying Niger's uranium out of pity. It is also the same President Bazoum who stated live on national television that he had ordered the release of terrorist leaders held in a high-security prison in Koutkale. Again, it is the same president who proudly stated that he had received terrorist leaders at the presidential palace. Such is the profile of the president whose release the European Parliament is now demanding through a resolution.
That guy from Paris wasn't too happy. This is what he has to say.
In the case of Niger, this is exactly what we are doing. So, if you'll allow me, beyond this overall doctrine, I'd like to come back to what we experienced this summer. It was a coup d'etat against a democratically elected president from a minority ethnic group who had carried out courageous reforms, economic, political, and in all areas for his country, clarifying just about every sector. Who is committed to the entire international agenda, which is ours and that of the United Nations, and who has been held hostage in the presidential palace by putschists for now a month. So it has been said that France was too involved in supporting President Bazoum. I hear the newspapers, I read the commentary, sometimes from other capitals. But what would we do if a coup like this happened in Bulgaria, in Romania? Would we go and say we shouldn't get too involved? Are we going to just watch because the putschists have proposed a prime minister to us? There you go, we're going to get involved. That's the right policy. We shouldn't be extremists, we're not at home. That's what the other capitals want to do. And we want to say that democracy is an idea that's good for Africa. We don't do double standards. It's unacceptable. We have a man of integrity, democratically elected, courageous. Courageous because for the first time in such a situation, he does not resign, even at the risk of his life and that of his family. And we're told that the right policy today would be to abandon him. Because it's become fashionable. Because now, apparently, we should produce locally, even when they're coup leaders. And from Washington through other European capitals, I heard voices. I listened to news reports. I read opinion pieces telling us, don't overdo it. It's becoming dangerous. It's becoming dangerous. No. We must be clear and consistent. Consistent. Otherwise, who will listen to us? In which African capital? We can't claim to have a partnership policy with a leader if, when they go through this, we can't support them. So I believe our policy is the right one. It is based on President Bazoum's courage, on the commitment of our diplomats, of our ambassador on the ground, who remains despite the pressure, despite everything, and despite all the statements from illegitimate authorities, thanks to the dedication of our internal security forces and our military. Now, let's be clear, we are not engaged. We must not give in to a narrative used by the putschists, which would have us believe that our enemy has become France. The problem for Nigerians today is the putschists who are putting them in danger because they are abandoning the fight against terrorism, because they are giving up a policy that was economically beneficial for them. And now they are losing all the international funding that was helping them escape poverty. That is the reality. And if we do not say it ourselves with courage, who will? So we must continue this policy. With determination, we must move away from lies and easy solutions. So our policy is simple. We do not recognize the putschists. We support a president who has not resigned, and we remain committed at his side. And we support the diplomatic efforts, and when it decides, the military action of ECOWAS in a partnership approach, which is the one I presented last February. Neither paternalism nor weakness. Because otherwise we are nowhere anymore. And we must continue to support him with strength. And I call on all the states in the region to have a responsible policy. Because we have to be clear, if ECOWAS abandons President Bazoum, I think all the presidents in the region are more or less aware of the fate that awaits them. And the weakness that some have shown towards previous coups has in fact encouraged regional ambitions. There is an epidemic of coups throughout the Sahel. But what is it based on? On what? On the weakness of the military system, on a lack of effectiveness, and also on the policy that we must pursue in support of the entire region. And I will come back to this in a moment. And so I think we need to be clear on this point. The period is very difficult, especially for the people of Miseria and for our forward positions, but we must, with determination, also avoid any double standards, stand by our principles and pursue this policy.